Oh, and welcome back to our series on cellular metabolism. You should now be very familiar with the concepts of cellular energy, ATP, and cellular respiration. In this lecture, we want to contextualize the importance of cellular respiration by focusing on the central role it plays in cellular metabolism. This picture is like, whoa, but it is showing a summary of the major metabolic pathways in cells. Recall that cellular metabolism is all of the chemical reactions that take place in a cell. This includes catabolic reactions that break things down and anabolic reactions that build larger molecules. Anabolic reactions that build macromolecules are called biosynthetic reactions. We just finished a series of lectures focusing specifically on cellular respiration. This is often misunderstood as the only metabolic pathway that exists in cells. Again, cellular respiration, our cellular metabolism, is all chemical reactions that take place in cells. Cellular respiration is very important. In fact, it plays a central role in cellular metabolism because many other metabolic pathways interact with this pathway. So on this slide, which I realize again is a lot, but at least you can see that cellular respiration is shown in red. So all the lines and dots that are red are cellular respiration. You can see that all these other really important metabolic pathways also interact with cellular respiration. This includes photosynthesis, amino acid metabolism, vitamin metabolism, nucleotide and protein metabolism, lipid metabolism, and molecules involved in cellular communication. All seem to go to this central pathway, which is cellular respiration. Part of the reason that cellular respiration functions as a central metabolic pathway is that the byproducts that are produced as a result of these reactions can be used as substrates in other reactions. For example, byproducts produced during glycolysis can be used in carbohydrate synthesis or to create the hydrophilic region of fats, the glycerol heads. Byproducts created during pyruvate oxidation can be used in the creation of hydrophobic fatty acid tails. And the citric acid cycle can produce a ton of intermediates, several of which are important for the production of proteins. And this is along with byproducts from pyruvate oxidation can do this as well. So although we think of the purpose of cellular respiration primarily being catabolic, breaking down glucose into energy, it also plays an important role in generating important substrates for macromolecular biosynthesis. Another common misconception about cellular respiration is that only glucose can enter this pathway to create ATP. Again, this is like vastly untrue. All macromolecules can actually enter this pathway at some point, and therefore all macromolecules can result in the production of ATP if necessary. Glucose does tend to be the most efficient, which is why we refer to it when we talk about cellular respiration being able to generate up to 38 ATP. However, other sugars like sucrose or fructose or lactose can also enter cellular respiration. In fact, any monosaccharide can enter glycolysis and progress through the entire series of reactions involved in cellular respiration. Fats can actually also progress through cellular respiration. Remember that fats have two regions, a glycerol head and a fatty acid tail. The glycerol head is similar to like a deconstructed carbohydrate, so it can actually enter in the middle of glycolysis. The fatty acid tails can be broken down to resemble acetyl molecules, enabling them to acquire a coenzyme and enter directly into the Krebs cycle. Proteins are composed of amino acids, and if you remember, these contain a lot of functional groups. Some of these can enter into pyruvate oxidation, and some can enter directly into the Krebs cycle. Another important pathway that interacts with cellular respiration is photosynthesis. Collectively, photosynthesis and cellular respiration aid greatly in the environmental carbon cycle. Much of the environmental carbon originates as inorganic carbon in the form of carbon dioxide. Since so many organisms rely on organic compounds, photosynthesis actually serves a really important central metabolic role by transforming inorganic carbon compounds into organic carbon compounds. Photosynthesis is actually responsible for what is called carbon fixation, or creating organic carbohydrates like glucose. Photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide or water and ATP and produces glucose and oxygen. You'll note that the products of photosynthesis are also the reactants of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration uses organic carbon molecules, carbohydrates, and oxygen as reactants and produces CO2, water, and ATP. You know, the reactants of photosynthesis. In this way, environmental carbon is able to cycle from inorganic to organic to inorganic to organic. This feeds a variety of organisms with a variety of metabolisms. So, as a reminder, cellular respiration and photosynthesis, for that matter, are central metabolic pathways in cellular respiration, in cellular metabolism. But they are not the only pathways that make up the metabolism of cell. They are very, very important. However, many other pathways interact with them. They do rely on these pathways for catabolic and anabolic needs, but they are not the only metabolic pathways that exist. What do you need to know from this lecture? This lecture was primarily meant to contextualize the role of cellular respiration in cellular metabolism, but it is important that you understand its central role in cellular metabolism. Understand how it plays a role in anabolism of macromolecules, how it can generate a lot of macromolecule precursors, and also that it doesn't rely on just glucose, that a lot of other macromolecules can enter this pathway. You don't need to know what or where is generated and how, just that it can play this role, this central role. You do need to understand the terms cellular metabolism, biosynthesis. It would be very good to be able to distinguish cellular metabolism from cellular respiration. Thank you so much for coming to these lectures. We hope that you understand much more about cellular respiration and that you're an expert. I know you are. We are proud of you. See you next week with photosynthesis.